The Iced Coffee Hour podcast host Graham Stephan and Jack Selby interview guest Tai Lopez, who is a successful marketer who has gathered billions of views and made hundreds of millions of dollars. The conversation begins with Lopez talking about how he went off social media for a while but is now returning. Lopez believes that status is the most powerful attractor, as evidenced by a recent meme in which Jeff Bezos was with his girlfriend and Leo DiCaprio. Lopez notes that women also consider intelligence, ambition, facial symmetry, height, and age range in their attraction to men. Further, he argues that individuals are born with a set of genetic parameters that limit them in every area, including sexual attraction. Thus, humans are highly status-driven, with a pecking order akin to that observed in chickens. Lopez notes that most wealthy men are physically unattractive and believes that wealth is a form of compensation for their lack of physical attractiveness. He also suggests that individuals need a burning fire within them, and dancing with the devil a little bit is necessary to achieve such ambition. Ultimately, it is through this drive that people achieve greatness, and those with too easy a path rarely possess such a drive. He highlights the example of Elon Musk, who overcame his existential crisis and depression by reading books, which changed his life. Further, Lopez asserts that humans are too narcissistic and think of themselves as a different class of organism on Earth, while in reality, they are just mammals like any other animal. He uses the example of a wolf, which is lean and moves fast because they are always hungry, to explain that humans need some trauma in their lives to stay driven and motivated. However, having too much trauma can lead to becoming insane. Lopez reflects on his past and mentions that he was running a nightclub in his mid-20s and was making around $500,000 a year. He asserts that that time was a sweet spot because he did not have many expenses, so he was living a good life. He shares how he had grown up with a poverty mentality and how, initially, he declined to go to Puerto Rico with his girlfriend because he thought he could not afford it. After realizing that he could buy a ticket, he felt a sense of freedom, saying, "It was like a time of great freedom." Lopez further discusses the concept of making money and how being there all the time is not always required, citing the examples of J.D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie. He says that the latter is underrated for his ability to pack his work efficiently in the morning and double-check everybody's work, stating, "If you're a good entrepreneur, you pack it in efficiently in the morning." He highlighted that the advice he sees online from people teaching business is very dangerous because it's mostly true, but the 10% that is not true will kill you. He also emphasized that setting up a business, systematizing it, getting others to run it for you, and then just leaving it is a deadly thing to do. Instead, he suggested that businesses should be systematized, someone else should be put in charge, and the business should be checked upon daily for a short period of time. Tai gave the example of Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, who called this strategy over-the-shoulder management. Tai also discussed his experience with his nightclub business, where he only checked on them once a month. He realized that he should have followed Carnegie's advice and checked on his business every day. He shared that he invested some of his earnings but was not making crazy money. Tai mentioned that in 2009, he realized that he didn't want to continue living the same lifestyle and was pushed by Graham Stephan's ambition to create more money. Tai shared that he was casted in a dating show for millionaires by his friend who was a Playboy casting guy. The show involved 2 millionaires and 20 women, and the millionaires would choose one person to go on a date with. Tai mentioned that his mistake was going on a boat, which made him sick, and he didn't get along with the host of the show. He talks about a prank he and the other contestants pulled where they met women without wearing shirts, which resulted in his episode becoming one of the most popular for 5 years due to the gag. He also talks about the backlash he received and the fact that some women were mad because they felt he was not being a gentleman. However, he also notes that some women were attracted to his eccentric personality, and that people should not always go by hard and fast rules when it comes to dating. Lopez and the hosts discuss how publicly displaying a high net worth may lead to an increase in predatory behavior, such as frivolous lawsuits, which can ultimately harm society. Lopez advises that it's better to keep a relatively low net worth online to avoid attracting such negative attention. He also mentions that he recently polled his social media followers to see how much money they thought they needed to be happy, with $1 million being a common response. However, he suggests that this may be due to social media reprogramming people's brains and that people should not tie their happiness solely to monetary gain. Tai Lopez argues that social media algorithms, such as the TikTok algorithm, can reprogram people's brains and reinforce certain beliefs. He explains that social media algorithms can be so potent that they can misinform people and even worsen mental health issues. Moreover, he emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and controlling one's brain in the modern world of social media. Additionally, Tai Lopez explains that social media algorithms reward extreme views, which is both good and bad for society. For example, people like Andrew Tate and Donald Trump use extreme views to gain attention and recognition. Ultimately, the societal impact of social media algorithms remains a contentious issue. Tai Lopez mentions that he is working on a show about the good life and ratio of the good life. The host, Graham Stephan, asks about how Tai Lopez started with money, and he shares his story about how he shot a YouTube video with his friend Jeremy as an ad that did not make enough money at first. However, he did not give up and continued iterating and testing his ideas. He was alone at home and had planned to go out for a night of partying. However, on the advice of his friend and business partner, Dr. Alex Mayer, he decided to stay in and create content instead. Using his background in copywriting and knowledge of cognitive biases, he wrote out some opening lines for the ad. He also incorporated the idea of a pattern interrupt, which he explained is a way to capture the attention of the human brain by introducing something unexpected or novel. He then talked about a business model he had observed at the Sunset Plaza sushi restaurant, where they employed good-looking women as waitresses to attract male customers. Tai also talked about his observation that men's attention tends to shift from a woman to a Lamborghini if both were in view. Using this knowledge, he decided to make a hook for his ad that involved showing off his newly acquired Lamborghini. However, he didn't want to sound too materialistic, so he brought it around to the idea of books and the power of knowledge. Tai explained how the ability to collect, collate, and act upon knowledge quickly sets humans apart from other species. Despite having a fear of watching himself on video, Tai realized that the success of the course was due in part to his copywriting skills. The course consisted of 67 one-hour videos, which he priced at $67 a month. Tai eventually turned the course into a book that he is revising, although the book may become too long as the original course was 67 hours long. Tai discusses how the course was an immediate success, making $130,000 in revenue within the first day of promotion. He attributes this success to catching new trends early, such as his use of YouTube ads before other personal brands were utilizing them. Tai recognizes that humans are risk-averse by nature, so catching on to new trends early is crucial for success. He mentions that the course had made approximately $75 million in revenue, with a high margin due to low advertisement costs and word-of-mouth promotion. He explains that he originally had an office in Sunset Plaza that cost $60,000 per month, but he found it more economically feasible to move his 50 staff members into a rental mansion instead. The mansion had 19 bathrooms, 17 bedrooms, a gym, a basketball court, and a swimming pool, making it perfect for shooting content and hosting events. Tai Lopez held a large influencer party at the mansion, which attracted famous social media personalities like Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Despite receiving criticism for renting a mansion, Tai Lopez explains that it was financially smart to do so, as buying a house in Beverly Hills would not have resulted in a high return on investment. Additionally, he is able to write off the rental fees on his taxes. Through this rental mansion, Tai Lopez was able to grow his brand and business by creating many advertisements and videos at the location. He mentions that he has developed around 40 cognitive biases, which he uses to create effective ads. According to Lopez, entrepreneurs need to understand psychology in order to understand money, as all money is really psychology. He also mentions that Elon Musk is a master psychologist who understands people well. Lopez narrates an interesting incident where Musk asked for his opinion on using Snapchat to grow his business, to which Lopez responded positively, but Musk later disagreed. Lopez emphasizes the need for mastering psychology in delivering content and creating effective ads, which is essential for becoming a successful influencer. He also notes that his style is meandering, which may not appeal to everyone, and refers to a popular online test called 16 Personalities that is based on Carl Jung's psychology. Tai Lopez discusses his early years and how he got started in business. Lopez grew up on a farm, and after completing high school, he took an apprenticeship with a famous organic farmer, Joel Salatin. The apprenticeship lasted for 18 months, during which time Lopez did manual labor on the farm, for which he was not paid but gained valuable experience. However, after the second year, Lopez had the opportunity to turn a profit when a farmer approached Salatin, offering his farm but needing someone to take care of it. Salatin was too busy to take on another venture, so Lopez offered to work on the farm, splitting the profits with Salatin. This was Lopez's first business venture, which involved taking care of a herd of cattle that the farmer had purchased for $50,000. Lopez was able to make a profit and earn $12,000 in a year, which was the most money he had ever seen. Later on, Lopez left the farm and lived with the Amish for 2.5 years. He was interested in their way of life and how they seemed to be peaceful and had happy marriages, which was something he had not experienced in his childhood. Lopez believes that living with the Amish was a cathartic experience, as it allowed him to confront his demons and learn what a simple and peaceful life could be like. When Lopez returned to the city, he found it difficult to settle down and find a home, and he continued to explore different business ventures. Despite the challenges he faced, Lopez found peace and happiness when he was around people who were content with a simple life. Tai Lopez discusses the different ways influencers deliver their content, and how certain styles appeal to different people based on their personality types. They describe how sensing people prefer practical and straightforward information, while intuitive people prefer a more meandering approach that involves storytelling. Tai prefers to attract people who like the longer, meandering style of content and believes that there is no exact way to create wealth, as everything creating its opposite in a free market capitalist world. Tai highlights the fact that a strategy that may have worked in the past may not work now because too many people are copying it. Tai also shares about his success with his SMMA course and his various business ventures, which have made hundreds of millions of dollars combined. He explains that he had to leave YouTube as he started to buy businesses, which took up most of his time. He mentions his desire to climb the mountain Mount Everest because it was there, and how he tried to purchase Blockbuster to turn it into a competitor to Netflix. Tai Lopez discusses his philosophy on buying distressed assets, and his recent acquisitions of Pier 1 and Bodybuilding.com. He explains that Pier 1 was a good business that was temporarily put out of business due to COVID-19, but it was a good buy at its low price point of $31 million. Tai believes that the ultimate margin of safety when investing is to buy low, which is his investing formula. He also adds that he has outbid institutions such as the big private equity firm called Sycamore that was bidding on Pier 1. Tai mentions that brick-and-mortar retail still has a future, but the stores need to be of the right size, unlike Bed Bath & Beyond's 100,000 square foot stores. Tai believes that not all businesses are adaptable to change, and only those that adapt will survive. He cites Apple and Facebook as examples of companies that need to adapt to change, or they will disappear. Tai talks about Bodybuilding.com, a significant business that was on the decline, and how Charles Darwin's quote applies to business's survival. Tai Lopez talks about the concept of the metaverse and the potential impact of virtual reality technology on it. They note that the metaverse already exists in the form of digital platforms like YouTube, and discuss the possibility of improving the viewing experience by using VR goggles to create a more immersive experience. Tai Lopez suggests that people often don't realize they need a particular technology until it is available to them, citing the example of the iPhone's popularity. The discussion then turns to the potential use of VR for porn, which is seen as a potential driver for the technology's adoption. The hosts also discussed the rise and fall of social media platform Clubhouse, with Lopez suggesting that the company misunderstood the importance of psychology in creating successful social networks. The segment ends with a brief discussion on Elon Musk's decision to charge users $8 per month for verification on Twitter. They explain that Musk initially wanted to charge $15 or $20, but someone commented that it was too expensive. Elon Musk then replied immediately and lowered the price to $8. The conversation shifts to a discussion of how to balance being controversial enough to get noticed, but not going too far and becoming controversial for the wrong reasons. Tai Lopez refers to Socrates and Aristotle's teachings about living a good life in proportion and being angry for the right reason, at the right time, and in the right duration and intensity. They also touch on the extreme political divide in America, which is exacerbated by social media and biased news reporting. Lastly, they caution against being too self-assured and pushing the boundaries until you fall off the cliff. According to them, America likes the underdog, and this was evident during the 2016 US presidential election, where the media predicted that Hillary Clinton would win, but Americans preferred Trump as the underdog. They also note that saying what others are thinking is a powerful tool to build a following, citing Kanye West and Trump as examples. Additionally, they discuss the impact of social media in silencing opinions and how silencing an opinion may actually draw attention to it, such as Ben Shapiro's conservative views. The guest, Tai Lopez, also explains his perspective on how to find balance in life, citing the golden ratio, and the importance of identifying the point in one's life where they were at peace as an indicator of achieving the balance between health, wealth, love, and happiness. They bring up the importance of balancing health, wealth, love, and happiness in one's life. Lopez explains that Europeans have a better work-life balance compared to Americans who are seen as too focused on money. He also shares his daily routine for a balanced life, which involves waking up early, reading or listening to audiobooks, doing low-intensity cardio, and aiming for 20,000 steps a day. Lopez also emphasizes the importance of reading textbooks, biographies, and autobiographies, as well as engaging in social activities to maintain a healthy social life. Stefan agrees with Lopez's approach to balancing life and adds that although waking up early may not work for everyone, it is essential to start the day with small productive habits like reading or exercising. Tai explains his 4 pillars of an ideal daily routine: health, wealth, love, and happiness. Lopez believes that the ideal routine begins by reading valuable books like Sigmund Freud's Civilization and its Discontents, followed by a workout and money-making activities. He suggests working for 4 to 5 hours a day as opposed to the 4 hours a week concept proposed in the 4-hour work week. The third pillar is love, which implies spending time with friends, family, and finding romance. Lopez says that group dating is better than one-on-one dating because it creates fewer expectations and provides an opportunity to enjoy the company of a larger group. Finally, happiness is the last pillar of an ideal routine, and it arises when the first 3 pillars are aligned, which means that a person has to invest time in each of them. Aligning the pillars means using practical investments like a $1,200 treadmill to reduce sitting time, reading valuable books, working out, building relationships, and finding ways to earn money. In summary, Lopez's ideal daily routine is built around a balance of health, wealth, love, and happiness. In 2015, Tai's health was going down, and he decided to spend $1 million, approximately $200,000 per year, on every supplement, diet, exercise routine, and therapy he could think of to improve his health. To get real scientific data, he enlisted a nurse to draw 40 vials of blood from his body monthly for 2 years and did a DEXA scan to measure his muscle mass. Tai emphasizes the importance of getting scientific data to make informed decisions about health because the blood tells the truth. Tai's main advice for good health is to start with walking and lifting heavy weights, which improves blood pressure, among other things. He recommends lifting weights on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and doing high-intensity interval training on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Tai also advises people to rest and not overtrain, as this can affect the reproductive system. Finally, Tai talks about how he put on muscle mass through TRT or testosterone replacement therapy, which he did legally, but he emphasized that TRT affects sperm count and may not be advisable for people who want to have kids. Tai Lopez cautioned against taking supplements as they take years to kick in and recommended testing blood to find out specific nutrient deficiencies. He compared the slow metabolism of soil to the body's slow metabolism of nutrients, and highlighted the importance of balance. Tai mentioned that he paid $25,000 to Ben Greenfield to build a supplement program just for him. He also recommended eating organ meats but warned that it could be poisonous in excess. Tai explained that even though extreme ideas hold some truth, they can easily become dangerous. He warned that the excessive consumption of liver and other organ meats could poison the body and emphasized the need for everyone to test their blood at least twice a year. He also recommended getting additional tests beyond what doctors typically suggest, bringing a piece of paper with a list of tests to the doctor's office. Tai also highlighted the importance of vitamin D and recommended an app called D-Miner that helps people determine their optimal sun exposure to get vitamin D. Tai Lopez shares an app called D-Miner, which calculates the amount of vitamin D you need based on how much sun exposure you've had. He also stresses the significance of getting enough vitamin D, which is essential for good health, and mentions that some people who are against vaccines believed vitamin D could replace them. Tai also shares some health tips, including getting enough sleep and walking regularly, which he believes are the most critical aspects of good health. The podcast also includes a brief mention of Lexer, a company that makes SD cards and other memory storage devices, and Tai's website, where he offers free book recommendations for business, health, psychology, and happiness. Tai Lopez talks about his experience living with Amish people and the concept of the 4 pillars of a good life. He mentions Sigmund Freud's idea of civilization and its discontents, saying that people in modern society live longer but are less happy and less connected to nature and community. Lopez discusses how living in a tight-knit community like the Amish could bring more happiness and a sense of connection, but admits he left because he didn't share their religion. He believes that to have a good life, one should maintain balance across 4 pillars: health, wealth, love, and happiness. He suggests that the hardest thing is to figure out the ratio between these 4 pillars and mentions how Scandinavian countries like Sweden may have better ratios compared to the US, as they have more billionaires per capita and are happier. Lopez introduces the substitution rule, which means that instead of envying someone's life, we should analyze their life to learn from them. He explains his fish tank analogy, where the alkalinities of the water should be different in order to maintain a balance, similar to how the 4 pillars of life should be balanced. Tai Lopez shares his experience of growing up in a peaceful family with Amish people around him. He mentions that he has never heard an Amish guy raise his voice or argue with their partner, and they hardly cry as babies. He explains that agreeableness is a genetic factor that some people possess, which makes them naturally more agreeable. Interestingly, he notes that a lot of the wealthiest people in the world are low in agreeableness, and they may have to live a difficult life to become billionaires. Tai believes that people who get bored easily may have genetic factors such as lack of inquisitiveness or tendency towards boredom. Tai shares that his biggest takeaway from his experience living in seclusion on an Amish farm for 2.5 years is that he learned to value community and not isolate himself. He says that he prefers to live in a village type of living where there are people around him, and he built his tribe of friends to avoid being unhappy. After reading Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, Tai realized that failure can lead to greatness as it makes a person rethink their life. He then reached out to his Uncle Bill, who advised him to sell either cars or insurance. Tai chose the latter as he did not want to work 16 hours a day like car salesmen. Tai found an insurance person in the phone book who had a full-page ad and decided to visit him. He wore a thrift store suit with shoulder pads as his uncle told him to wear a suit. He offered to work for free and learn what the insurance business was all about. The man gave Tai a small closet and a cold call list to start his work. Tai made $100,000 in commissions in the first week and continued to make good money in his early 20s. Tai shares that people don't like to do cold calls, but just like Muhammad Ali, who said that he didn't count sit-ups until they started to burn, one needs to do things that are uncomfortable to train themselves. Tai also shares that studying billionaires and wealthy people shows that 80% of them started in sales. He talked about how he stumbled upon an ad for a guru's program, which taught him about Google Ads. Tai learned how to use Google Ads to advertise a financial service company and started generating leads that turned into commissions, making him a consistent six-figure earner. Tai also mentioned the importance of having multiple streams of income, which led him to venture into the nightclub business. He emphasized the need to build a tribe and a community, a concept he learned from the Amish, to be successful in business. Tai shared his observation of people's innate need to belong and how businesses like OnlyFans capitalize on that by building a community where individuals pay to belong. He also talked about the power of personal connection and how some successful OnlyFans creators like Stella Berry make six-figure monthly earnings by interacting with and providing personalized attention to their subscribers. They talk about their experiences with dating apps, particularly Tinder. Stefan shares a story about a Tinder date where he was surprised to find out that the woman he was with was a successful OnlyFans creator, who used a gay assistant to manage her messages with interested men. Lopez agrees that Instagram DMs have become the new Tinder and shares his experience with meeting people through his social circle. The conversation then turns to the idea of game theory and how human attraction is complex and cannot be simplified to a set of rules or tactics. Stefan cautions against trying to play alpha or cocky, as it may not work for everyone. The conversation ends with Stefan joking about how moving to LA can be great for insecure men as the most extroverted women in the world move there. According to Lopez, not all women are inherently feminine and not all men are inherently masculine, and it is incorrect to assume that the alpha male is always dominant over the beta male. Lopez shared an experience in the past where he took over a nightclub from Colombian drug dealers and had to overcome intense obstacles to get their liquor license. He eventually ousted the dealers, but they threatened to kill him as a result. Lopez then hired a group of intimidating security guards to intimidate the drug dealers and protect his club, eventually sending them to the dealer's house to warn them not to mess with him. Lopez also discussed his belief that entrepreneurship is not always about starting something new from scratch, and that being successful in business often means buying existing businesses and improving them. He is currently working on a book called The Way of the Billionaire that focuses on the lessons he learned from working with successful entrepreneurs. He shares that he had a high chance of success because the nightclub business was already fleshed out. Tai also talks about a doorman named Drago, who was responsible for a large number of attractive women showing up at the nightclub. Tai characterizes Drago as an 8.5/10 guy who had a natural way with women and was able to hack the system to become a 10. Drago would get a 50% close rate on getting women's numbers, and if he faced rejection, he would tell himself that the woman doesn't have good taste. Tai later mentions the algorithm of women's brains and that he identified 12 computations a woman makes when it comes to attraction. However, he was missing the most powerful thing, which is status, and this was pointed out to him by Dr. David Buss, the founder of the Harvard Evolutionary Psychology Department. Tai explains that Justin Bieber, who is not the tallest, the richest, or the most alpha male, still has a large number of women in love with him because of his status. Tai advises that men should focus on building their status to be more attractive to women. Check out the full podcast by clicking the link in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for listening to this podcast summary episode of the Pod Slice.